We begin this episode by acknowledging the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which we record and share these stories. We pay our deepest respects to their elders, past and present, and recognise the wisdom, connection, and culture that have shaped these lands for thousands of years. As we journey beyond the veil, we do so with gratitude, respect, and an awareness of those who walked before us, honouring their wisdom, their connection to the land, and their stories woven into the fabric of time. May we listen, learn, and tread lightly, carrying forward their legacy with integrity and heart. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this very special episode, which is Beyond the Veil Australia, Season 1 in Reflection. So, before the microphone, before the name, before the veil began to part, I felt it. A whisper, a pull, a knowing. The paranormal has always lived in the corners of my life, in quiet moments, in dreams, in the spaces between logic and longing. And in the 6 months before Beyond the Veil Australia came to life, that pull became undeniable. Every medium, every tarot reader, every psychic I met echoed the same truth. You have gifts. This is what you're meant to do. And every time I imagined creating this podcast, I felt it. Pure joy, emotional fulfillment, a deep sense of alignment. It was as if my spirit team and the universe were conspiring to guide me, nudging me forward, whispering, "It's time." So I began. I played with names, colours, textures, shaping the aesthetic in Canva like some sort of ritual. It wasn't just a design. It was intention, a quiet invocation. And the signs kept coming. The universe responded. Every step I felt guided. Every choice felt right. This wasn't just a podcast. It was a spiritual path, a reclamation of gifts I'd tucked away. It was a way to grow, to connect, and to explore the unknown. Not just with you, my listeners and viewers, but within myself. Each time I envisioned Beyond the Veil Australia, I felt it again. A quiet joy, soul-deep fulfillment, and that unmistakable alignment, as if my spirit team and the universe were whispering, "Yes, this is it." And then the audience came. Fast, fierce, beautiful. Not because the episodes were live. They weren't even in development yet. But from the moment I launched the social media accounts, the energy had just surged. Each day, the numbers just doubled. Each message, each comment, each shared story built a momentum I really hadn't anticipated. It was humbling. It was affirming. And it was magic. Even now, as the numbers slow, I'm reminded I'm not here to chase metrics. I'm here to share, to offer my gifts, my research, my journey to those who feel the pull toward the unknown, just like me. This is about connection, curiosity, and the quiet magic of being seen. This season, The veil revealed more than ghosts. It opened doors to the unexplained, the ancient, and the sacred. We traced ley lines across the world, those invisible arteries of energy pulsing beneath our feet. We explored haunted locations where history lingers like breath on glass. We spoke about witchcraft, not as folklore, but as lineage. And we looked up to the skies, to the UAPs that defy explanation. Each theme was a doorway, each topic a thread in the veil. Together, they formed a tapestry of wonder, resistance, and revelation. These weren't just stories, they were invitations to question, to feel, to remember. We trace ley lines not just across Australia, but across the globe. These invisible energy pathways, believed to pulse with electromagnetic force, connect sacred sites like veins in the body of the earth. From the monolithic mystery of Stonehenge to the spiritual heart of Uluru, these hubs are said to hum with ancient power. Machu Picchu, the Great Pyramid of Giza, Angkor Wat, each sits at a ley line intersection, each a beacon of a vibrational resonance. In Australia, Uluru is often considered a root chakra of the planet, a place of grounding, of dreaming, and ancestral memory. These lines aren't just myth, they're maps of meaning. And we looked up to the skies. We looked to the UAPs that defy explanation, and we didn't have to look far. In Australia, the stories are chilling. Frederick Valentich vanished off over Bass Strait in 1978 after radioing that he was being followed by a strange craft. His final words? It's not an aircraft. Then, metallic scraping, followed by silence. In Rosedale, Victoria, strange lights and erratic movements left locals shaken. And Westall in 1966, where over 200 students and teachers witnessed a saucer-shaped craft descend into a field near Melbourne. It hovered, it landed, and it vanished. The aftermath? Silence, suppression, and a lingering question. What did we see? And now the veil lifts again. In recent months, US congressional hearings have reignited global curiosity. Lawmakers are pushing for transparency, whistleblower protections, and public disclosure of government-held UAP data. This message is clear. The unknown is no longer fringe. It's front and centre. We also explored witchcraft, not as superstition, but as history, as science, and as resistance. Across centuries, the witch trials scarred the world, from Salem to Scotland, Germany to Goa. Women, healers, midwives, branded as threats for their knowledge, intuition, and power. We also looked at Marie Laveau, the voodoo queen of New Orleans, a figure of mystery, medicine, and magic. And Baba Yaga, the Slavic witch of the forest, both feared and revered, a guardian of trials and transformation. We also examined the crossover between science and witchcraft, how herbalism, astronomy, and alchemy were once sacred arts that have been later condemned, and how psychological theories now revisit these practices through new lenses. Carl Jung's archetypes, the shadow self, and the collective unconscious. These all echo symbolic language of witchcraft. We question the narrative society has placed on witchcraft, the fear, the vilification, the erasure. What was lost? What's returning? And what does it mean to reclaim it, not just as history, but as healing? This season, I found myself drawn to haunted places, not just for their stories, but for the joy of researching them. The thrill of uncovering forgotten echoes, the strange comfort of the lingering in the liminal. Pripyat, Ukraine. Pripyat is a city frozen in time, abandoned after the Chernobyl disaster in 1986. It remains eerily intact. Dolls mid-play, hospital beds rusting, and the Ferris wheel unmoving. The silence is deafening. I loved diving into its stillness. The Zua swimming pool, once used by liquidators long after the disaster, now echoes with imagined splashes. The red forest nearby, so irradiated, it glows in satellite imagery. It feels like nature is holding its breath. Some visitors report shadow figures. Others speak of a presence watching. But for me, it was the emotional weight, the grief suspended in the air. And this is what made Pripyat unforgettable. Behind its polished facade, Bond Street hides centuries of hauntings. Once a fashionable promenade for the elite, it's whispered that the spirits of the Bond Street loungers still parade in silence. Nearby, the Viaduct Tavern and 10 Bells pub, linked to Jack the Ripper, add to the spectral lore. Disembodied voices, flickering lights, and sudden chills are common tales. Bond Street is a reminder that even glamour has ghosts, that beneath the cobblestones, history still stirs. North Brother Island is one of the most haunting places I've ever researched. Once home to Riverside Hospital, it quarantined patients with deadly diseases, many against their will. Typhoid Mary spent nearly 3 decades here, isolated and vilified. And in 1904, the island bore witness to the General Slocum disaster, the deadliest maritime tragedy in New York's history. Today, its crumbling buildings are overtaken by ivy and silence. Visitors speak of strange lights, cold spots, and a lingering sorrow. It's a place where tragedy never truly left. Port Arthur is one of Australia's most haunted sites, and its history is steeped in suffering. Over 1,000 souls died here during its time as a penal colony. The separate prison, designed to break spirits through silence and isolation, still feels heavy with despair. The asylum, once ahead of its time in treating mental illness, now echoes with disembodied footsteps, flickering lights, and visitors speak of a blue lady, a young girl, and a chilling sense of being watched. But it's not just the colonial past that haunts this place. The Port Arthur massacre in 1996 left a scar that still pulses. 35 lives lost. Among them, 2 young girls, Alana and Madeline Mikak, whose fate broke something in me. I was their age at the time, and now my own children are the age they were. That parallel, it shook me. As a mother, the terror of that moment, the helplessness and the heartbreak was just unbearable. Researching Port Arthur wasn't just historical, it was personal, and it was grief. I found myself captivated by its layers, colonial cruelty, spiritual residue, and the resilience of those who've endured. Port Arthur isn't just haunted by ghosts. It's haunted by a memory and by the love that still lingers for those lost. Each location was a portal, a place where history breathes, where the veil thins, and where I felt most alive in the research. Curious, reverent, and deeply connected. This season, I wasn't alone in the liminal. I was in fact joined by voices, brave, curious, and deeply attuned to the unseen. Each guest offered more than insight. They brought presence, a vibration, and a lived connection to mystery. Some arrived with stories etched in memory. Others carried tools, tarot, mediumship, and ancestral knowledge. All came with reverence, with openness, with a willingness to explore the unknown together. We didn't just talk, we journeyed. We wandered through haunted corridors, traced energetic maps, and sat in silence with the inexplicable. One of the most unexpected interviews was with Marcus, whose connection to the infamous Chopper Read added a layer of intensity I hadn't anticipated. His stories, raw, unfiltered, steeped in underworld lore, left me breathless. Years before our interview, I'd had a remote experience with Chopper, one that left a distinct impression. And as Marcus described Chopper's energy, his presence, his essence, it mirrored my own experience almost perfectly. Uncanny, but affirming. Like the veil whispering, "You've been here before." Monique and Anthony brought a different kind of energy, investigative, intuitive, and fearless. Their experiences at Parramatta Jail were chilling. The residual energy, the unexplained sounds, the sense of being watched. It was incredible. One moment stood out though. Monique had been experiencing intense physical sensations, tightness, pressure, and a wave of emotion that she just couldn't explain. And then the tour guide had stopped, turned, and actually shared that a prisoner had been hanged in that exact spot. So her reaction wasn't just intuitive, it was witnessed, it was validated, and it was shared with the group. At Arrowdale, the atmosphere thickened. A place once home to the mentally ill, now echoing with stories that refuse to fade. Their accounts of shadow figures, temperature drops, and emotional overwhelm painted a vivid portrait of a place that is still very much alive. And then there was Monique's experience with the Ouija board. Years earlier, as a teenager, what began as curiosity turned unsettling. There were specific messages, a lingering presence, and a memory that shaped her approach to the paranormal with caution, respect, and deep intuition. One of the most transformative collaborations was with Sam from Aussie Afterlife. What began as a shared interview unfolded into something far deeper, a mediumship experience that completely caught me off guard. It cracked something open and invited me into a new chapter. Through Sam's gifts, the veil lifted, completely, unexpectedly, and profoundly. And from that moment, a new project was born. One that felt divinely timed. One that reminded me that the paranormal isn't just about what we see. It's about what we feel, what we remember, and what we reclaim. Beyond the spiritual revelations, something else grew. Our friendship. Strong, grounded, and expansive. Sam has become not just a collaborator, but a soul ally. Someone who sees the unseen and walks beside me through it. The encouragement I received from my guests was so overwhelming. Their belief in this podcast and in me was a really quiet force that behind every episode, it just felt validated. This podcast isn't just mine. It's ours. It's a shared ritual of curiosity and connection. And then, quietly, unmistakably, the veil shifted again. This season didn't just reveal mysteries, it invited me into them. I've received invitations to join investigations with people that I deeply respect, and those doors have opened, but the steps through them remain ahead. They hover like unfinished sentences and whispers waiting to be followed. Each one feels like a threshold veiled in shadow, a place where something waits, something unseen, something unspoken, but undeniably present. And in the quiet moments between episodes, something else began to stir, a deeper connection to my own intuition. A sense that the veil wasn't just lifting around me, it was actually rising within. I started noticing synchronicities more often, dreams that spoke like messages, signs that nudged like breath. I had a quiet knowing that I was being guided, not just creatively, but spiritually. One of the most transformative doors that was opened with Sam. What began as the shared investigation had then unfolded into a completely new project, one that feels aligned with something deeper, like an ancient knowledge that was awakened in both of us, through each other. Something important, like a calling, a hunt for the truth, a pursuit of the unique storytelling, especially for the voices that have been living beyond the veil for a much longer time. While our podcasts remain distinct, each with its own rhythm and voice, a new joint project has emerged between us. One that was born from synchronicity, trust, and a shared pursuit of truth. It walks beside our individual work, not replacing, but expanding. This podcast hasn't just explored the paranormal. It's helped me grow, especially spiritually. It's reawakened the gifts that I'd tucked away for years. It's reminded me that the unknown isn't something to fear. It's something to welcome. I felt the veil welcome me in, invite me, challenge me, and through it, I found not just stories, but a sense of purpose. To be trusted with these stories and to grow through them is a gift, one that I hold with such reverence. Last season, we lifted the veil, but this time, we step through. Coming up for season 2, we'll explore the tools of the paranormal, both spiritual and scientific. Each one is a doorway. Each one is a question. But what do they reveal? And what do they conceal? We'll ask harder questions about the blurred lines between spiritual awakening and psychological experience, and what it means to see beyond and still stay grounded. We'll travel to ancient and strange sites that defy logic, places built with impossible skill, places that whisper secrets through stone, and places that feel older than memory. We'll dive deep into cryptid lore, from folklore to field research, creatures that stalk the edges of science, and the researchers who still chase them, not for fame, but for truth. We'll revisit cases that stirred something in us, unfinished business, and this time we'll be going deeper. And as a special surprise, there will be extras. My own experiences, my spiritual growth, and the encounters I've had where the veil doesn't just lift, it speaks. Season 2 doesn't begin. it continues what was never truly silent. The stories, the energies, the voices, they've been waiting, and now they stir. What's waiting knows your name. We didn't choose to return. We were called. By the places, by the patterns, by the presence that never left. This next chapter rises, not from the unknown, but from what's always known us. The veil isn't closing, it's listening. And this time, we don't just observe the mystery, we walk beside it. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you to every single follower, collaborator, listener, viewer, well-wisher, anybody that engages with this podcast. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I have really, really enjoyed making this podcast, meeting so many new people worldwide, not just in my own backyard, worldwide. And the opportunities that have come from this, not just in being able to meet new people and explore new things, but to be able to explore new parts of me has been truly amazing. And I really thank every one of you for joining me along this entirely crazy, fun experience that I really never thought I'd be able to do. And when I reflect from the very humble beginnings to where I am now at the end of season 1, I feel like I've grown so much as an individual, so much in the podcasting world. And when I say that, I mean I've learned to hone in on new skills, especially the technological side of it. I just feel like I've learned so much, and I'm forever evolving and growing. And I'm really, truly proud of this season. I'm really, truly proud of my growth. And I'm so proud at the fact that every one of you that engages with this, whether it's on social media, YouTube, or the podcast platforms, whatever form that comes in, I'm really proud of the drive and the motivation that you put forward for me, and the desire to want to keep listening and viewing and learning more. And of course, most importantly, I really thank you all for listening to me ramble on about random shit all the time, because I'm really good at talking and going off on tangents. So I think one other valuable lesson in this is I've really learned how to communicate better. There's still a long way to go, but I really feel like I've learned more in skills that can always be refined. So again, I can't believe that there's been 20 episodes that everybody has just jumped on and loved and shared, and just, oh my God, I can't even explain that feeling. And I'm so thankful and grateful, and I appreciate everybody that enjoys it, because as I'd mentioned before, this isn't just about me delving into these topics. It's about sharing that with all of you, and for all of you to feel that you're involved in this, because without you, this isn't possible. So you should really be proud of yourselves for enjoying what I do in bringing these stories to life, and enjoy listening to me ramble on about shit. It's truly been a remarkable experience. And, you know, for those that have watched this on YouTube, you might notice that I'm also in a pumpkin jumper. Now, I actually have 3 of these. I have this one that I'm wearing, which is the black jumper with the orange pumpkin heads. I have a grey one with orange pumpkin heads that I wore for the part 2 interview with Marcus. And I have my orange jumper with the black pumpkin heads that I wore in my very first episode of You've Got to Be Joking, and it was in the part 1. And I thought, what better way to end this season with a bonus episode and donning the beautiful pumpkin knitted jumper but a different color of it. So now all three colors have been worn on my podcast. I thought it was a very cute and very special moment to be able to do that. And you've probably always noticed my good friend Salem here in the background. He's been in every episode. Sometimes I forget to introduce him, and also sometimes he's on camera and then suddenly he's not. So whether you see him or not in those episodes, he's certainly there. As you can see, I've changed a little bit here with my little podcasting nook. This little light right behind me is actually a moon. It actually has the texture of the moon on it. And listen to this. You are honestly not going to believe it, but it is actually a Bluetooth speaker. So for those watching on YouTube, you can see the speaker at the bottom, and here is my beautiful moon. So beautiful little light. It goes lots of different colors, but it's also a speaker. And I just wanted to have it on because I thought it's the final episode of season 1. It's a really special episode. So why not do some decoration and make everything look cuter and more fun? I've also been Halloween shopping yesterday, and I've got cute little pink pumpkins that are kind of like fabric, like that nice, cute fabric. I've borrowed my son's Squishmallow as well that's in the background. I've got my tarot cards, my crystals. I've got some of my notebooks and my tarot books and my moon books. Got lots of little fun things here to really celebrate and mark the occasion of this being the final episode of the first season. Yes, it's still a bonus episode, but realistically, it's still part of season 1. So, yeah, what an amazing journey. And honestly, I really couldn't have done it without you. So for those of you that are new here, I hope that you've been able to go back and listen to some of the episodes across the season. But again, even though I'm not in this for, metrics or anything like that, I know that there are people out there that would probably appreciate some of the content that's covered. So if you know a friend or a family member or someone you work with that would really enjoy this, please send them to the social medias. You can see it as at Beyond the Veil Australia. That's the handle for Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. If you could jump on, like, follow, comment, subscribe, the usual spiel. It does help the content reach more people that might be interested in it. So this isn't just for me gaining metrics. This is just for me being able to share the podcast with people that want to enjoy it just as much as I do. So again, thank you all so much for joining me. I think this is the quickest episode I've ever recorded. You've had a tour of my space. We've reflected on some of the really key things that we've talked about across the season, and some of the really special moments for me, and kind of where it sort of begun a little bit. Obviously, I couldn't cover every single thing, and particularly with my journey into it. Again, that's a very in-depth, involved kind of a story. So to have to kind of condense it down so that it would work in a nice reflective episode was slightly challenging, but hey, we made it. But yeah, again, thank you all so much. And please stay tuned. The season 2 is going to be dropping on a very special day. It is indeed the 31st of October, 2025. So my favorite day of the entire year. Yes, and I mean over my birthday. Like, I like my birthday and it's up there, but my favorite day across the whole year is October 31st. So stay tuned for season 2. The first episode will be dropping on the 31st of October. So be ready to listen or view wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube for the exciting new chapter of season 2. Once again, much love to you all. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And I honestly cannot wait to share the exponential amount of awesome opportunities, topics, and experiences that are going to be coming in season 2. So again, thank you, much love, and I will speak to you all really soon. Bye.